Thank you, everyone, for being here and making it through the storm, and hope everyone is safe. And we're going to start with the pledge tonight. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're in sync with that. We did a good job tonight. That was excellent. Right. All right.
I've never sung the pledge before. Yeah. Okay. Again, thanks for showing up, and hopefully everyone is out there has stayed safe. And I would start by saying that the job that Highway has done to keep our roads safe has been phenomenal. So really happy about that. And for all the responders out there who helped, which would include all of our departments, fire, police.
Everybody was very busy.
Yep.
Thank you.
So we'll start with payroll. Payroll register this week, $40,865.97 for payroll taxes. There was as part of that, there was $420 taken out of police detail and $1,213 taken out of ambulance detail. There was also accounts payables in the amount of $76,771.
Yes.
And plus $1,376 there was also additional accounts payable taken out of ambulance in the amount of $1,400 and from the rec revolving fund in the amount of $249. There was overtime with the police department, 8 hours, fire 21.5, highway 19 hours. On call for the PD at 35 hours. So I will take a motion to accept the payroll register.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There's the consent agenda tonight, which is the public minutes from January 20th, 2026. There is a building permit, it says permits, but there was only one, and a rate of pay confirmation form. So I will take a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We do not have a treasurer's report for tonight, so we'll make sure we have that for next week. And we'll move to the first discussion item, which is a legislative bill that Doug Marino from Planning Board is going to present. So come on up, Doug. Just wherever you like. If you want to sit next to Bob, or if you'd rather be at the podium.
I don't bite.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Rumor has it otherwise. But
I'm gonna find out.
Depends on the day.
The planning board had voted to support this proposed bill in Concord and had asked us to consider doing the same. So that's why Doug is here, and he's going to explain what it is, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, members of the board. I really appreciate the chance to address you all tonight. So before you is House Bill 1294. As Paul said, the Planning Board voted unanimously to endorse this bill at our previous meeting. So the bill's pretty straightforward. The text is in front of you. It specifies that the speed limits on New Hampshire Route 25, specifically the Brentwood section between Epping and Kingston, will be 45 miles an hour. The DOT will install the signage, and local police will have primary responsibility for enforcement. I want to thank our state reps for their hard work on this. I know that over the past few years, Representative Turr has been in touch with DOT about safety on 125, and Representative Litchfield has stepped up to bring this bill forward, and Senator Gannon, our state senators, co-sponsoring it. So we're very grateful to them for that. I think, this is a really important bill for public safety in Brentwood. As I'm sure all you know, the speed in which folks go on 125 is really very fast, even in the sections where it's 55. A lot of folks will go 65 or even as high as 70 in the areas where it's 55. So I think that this is a good common sense public safety measure just to get the speed limit under control in the Brentwood section of 125, which is important for those of us here in Brentwood and also folks who are passing through and visiting our town. Happy to bring this before you tonight and ask for your support along with the planning board.
This will also probably enhance your desire to build more commercial stuff up on, including some of the residential stuff that you guys are planning for 125.
I certainly think it would make things more attractive for development if the traffic situation was under control, for sure.
And then, what's the speed limit on 125 in Plastow and? So then once it hits Kingston, it goes up to 55?
Yeah, Mr. Doug Fitton was indicating 45 from Plastow all the way up into Kingston, to the courthouse.
Okay.
That's right.
I make a
Saved your
motion to-
trip.
I make a motion to support it.
I'll second, and what I would say is that if this piece of legislation gets passed, I said this at the planning board, it'll probably be the most significant safety provision that Brentwood has seen in many years. And I just, to the extent that we're able to support this, I think it would be, fantastic. I mean, this will ultimately save lives by getting people to travel at a reasonable speed on 125.
I would also recommend that we should probably draft something to send of support of this too from our board.
Yeah, I think that would be the purpose of the motion.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Any further discussion? Any comment by people out there?
Can you come to a microphone?
You know what?
Thank you.
Jim Hazard, Mohawk Lane. Is there a reason why Representative Tura isn't sponsoring the bill?
I haven't asked him specifically about this bill, so I don't want to speak for him.
Okay. I
but-
I
yeah.
thought you said he was. I heard you say his name, but I'm surprised
Oh,
it's not there.
Yeah, so there's no confusion. When I referenced him, I was referencing his work with DOT over the past few years on this. But the bill is Representative Litchfield and then Senator Gannon.
Several others, yeah.
Yeah, and then
as well.
several others out who are from neighboring districts.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, comments? I think we're good to vote. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank
That
you.
was easy.
All right, I think our town administrator has, some issues or presentation from our town assessor that she
yes.
wants to discuss.
First, last week, you all signed a supplemental warrant that included two properties that we had abatements for. One was for $144, the other was for $14,181. And then there was a supplemental warrant for the correct owners for those properties. And the one for $14,181 got paid, so that did not, in the end, get abated, and therefore the supplemental warrant needs to be reduced to just the $144. So Adrian is asking for your signatures on that.
It got paid before we reissued it for the new person?
Yeah, by the new person, the new owner. I don't know if they somehow got a hold of the tax bill or came in and paid it before the abatement took place.
Okay, so I'm
So
sorry.
they paid it on the old I'm trying to understand, they paid the old bill before we issued the new one?
Correct.
So is this $144, the difference between,
That's how much the abatement, the supplemental warrant is for now.
right, so is that the difference between what
Yes.
they paid versus?
No, no, no. There were two properties. One was for 144.
Okay,
The other one was for 14,000, and the one for 14,000 got paid. So it did not need to be included in the supplemental warrant.
okay, but we just had to sign this, is that what you're?
Last week you signed one for $14,325. This one's for 144.
Gotcha.
So the old owner paid
No, I
The
believe
old-
the new owner,
the old tax bill?
well, it's for that same property in the same amount. It just wasn't under their name. So once the name got changed, they came in and it was just because of a name issue.
I'm trying to understand if the name was enough to reissue the bill, then don't we still need to cancel the one and reissue the other, or does it not?
Basically gonna get a refund.
No, they're gonna pay it
She
again?
can read the letter from Adrian.
Oh, I didn't know there was a letter, sorry.
So, just so I'm clear, the $14,000 one was addressed, and then this $144 one is on a separate.
Correct. They were for
Parcel.
two separate parcels.
So I'll make a motion for the 144. Once, we can still have discussion if you want, but.
No, I didn't know there was a letter that
Yeah,
explained it,
that's
so that's why I was asking. Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll circulate this for signing.
And then I sent out documents that she had provided, Adrian had provided, regarding a certificate that needs to be signed to the Department of Revenue regarding the verification of sales data, and she included several documents there that back up her numbers for that. So she was hoping to get that signed by you all.
Apparently, this is the statistical evaluation for sales data for KRT's reevaluation. It's just certifying their statistical basis upon which they did their evaluation that we're certifying to DRA.
Correct.
If everyone is okay with that, can we get a motion?
Get a motion?
Can we get a second?
I'll make a second, but I had a question about the other document that she included
Yes.
with the ratio study.
Okay.
It's 94.5%. We
Yes.
just did a reval. I'm surprised it's that far off of 100 already. Does she have a recommendation, or should this board consider looking to have a range where if we get far enough away from 100, we should do a reval or a statistical sooner rather than later?
It says that the acceptable ranges are between 0.9 and 1.10. Sorry, I'll say that again. The ratio that's acceptable for reval are between 0.9 and 1.10 with a 90% confidence interval in the year of the review. So I think that, sets a ratio, a confidence level. We're dealing with a statistical analysis, as I understand it, so that's a pretty high level of confidence when you're up to 90%.
And what are they at, 94?
Correct.
Letty, I think the DRA has to answer your question, I think the DRA has a number that if the equalization is below a certain amount or over a certain amount, they require action.
Do you know what that is?
I do not know what the number is.
Okay. I wondered
Off
if
the
we
top of
had a
my head.
policy or if we should make one, because I think part of the reason why this reval cycle was so bad is because we had gotten so far off of the 100.
I mean, it was a 5-year cycle, correct?
Yeah, you're required to do it every 5 years.
Yeah, so,
No, but that's, to what Andy's saying, it sounds like 5 years, or if it gets so far away from 100, like, if it's 75, that means you're undervalued by 25%, or if it's 125, that means you're overvalued.
I just don't, I just don't know what the number is, Letty.
No, I don't,
could-
there might not be one, I guess is that a question for Adrian?
Yes.
I can ask her.
Let me,
In any event,
Ask Google.
for purposes of moving forward with this data certificate, which certifies that we've reviewed the statistical data, I believe, did you second it?
She did.
I did.
Okay, then if there's any other discussion, we can go ahead for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Somewhere we need to sign this?
Yep, right here,
Oh,
and that's a DRA form, and there's only 4 lines, so I don't know if 2 of you want to sign on one, or just have 4 of you sign.
Letty can sign next to my name, and then the rest can sign underneath.
Google is thinking.
Just make it
I
clear.
What's
so
that?
you can
I
even-
asked Google, but it's still thinking.
Oh,
Doesn't like me.
Was there anything else?
that was it.
Okay. You want to do the road dam next? We'll get-
Sure, we can.
All right. So we'll discuss, before we get on to warrant articles, because that, it's going to take some time and it's sort of a, bunch of ones that we have to go through for recommending or not recommending. We could talk about Mill Road Dam. We did receive a letter from a law firm that represents a nonprofit entity who had rights in the dam, and that there's been a grant to remove the dam, and also then there's been an inquiry from this law firm as to whether or not we would be interested in retaining some rights as either property owner or flowage rights, which I don't know exactly what flowage rights are, but I thought at the very least it's something that we could invite them in to speak to us and make some decisions. I mean, obviously, we would be proceeding very cautiously because I would want us as a town to assume or take on liability for something until we know exactly what it is. So I don't think there's any harm in at least inviting in the representative from that entity. I don't know if nothing we really need to take action on, but I don't know if anyone has any questions or want to discuss anything with regard to it.
I know the owner had asked us to take over the property several years ago. I wouldn't recommend it because of the liability, and he was already basically in trouble with the state for not having it in compliance. And as a matter of fact, he just opened up the dam, and that created a bunch of water issues until it kind of leveled back out. And then people were upset that basically had bought their property there having the water, and then all of a sudden the water was gone because he opened up the dam. So, and the majority of that parcel is in Fremont, but it doesn't, I think we have 2 feet of it. So I wouldn't want to take on the ownership of it. So, but they're more than welcome to come in here and have a discussion, but I wouldn't probably entertain it.
So I don't think they want us to take ownership of the dam. They want us to give us ownership of the land under the dam after
Right.
they remove it.
So like the piece of because they don't have any property, it's just the physical dam, correct?
Well, I think they'd be
dam
conveying
originally
that
used
property,
to
at
generate
least as I
electricity.
understood the letter, they'd be conveying the property underneath.
Right.
Yeah.
They're gonna remove the dam and then give us the property.
Right. So query whether or not that's something we want to take on. There was reference in there that if we didn't want to take on that, maybe we could take on flowage rights, and I don't know what that means. But, these are all things we can find out when the person comes in and explore and see if it's something we're
Yeah,
have
the other,
any interest in.
the other thing I'd want to know too is, are they up to date on their taxes?
No.
No. So I'm hoping that they're not saying, would you guys accept this and forgo what I owe in taxes?
That is not an issue.
Okay. we'll invite them in and move forward from there.
Sounds good.
If we could get information about what they actually own, because when we had this conversation around tax bill time, I thought that they didn't own any land. It was just the physical dam.
We can get that clarified when,
Sure.
The representative comes in.
Sure.
Do you want to present? Okay.
I was approached by a resident on South Road regarding a cemetery that they had concerns about some trees falling onto their property and hitting their barn and house. Wayne went and looked at it, and it was determined that it's not a town cemetery, it's a privately owned cemetery, so I reached out to the cemetery trustees, and the recommendation is to see if we can find anyone who will claim to be a descendant of anyone buried in that cemetery. I'm not sure who would step up knowing that there might be a tree issue there, but
How much would it cost for Wayne to cut the trees down?
Well,
they're large
Yeah.
pine.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking. I don't know.
They're large pine trees, so I would anticipate we're talking about a significant amount of money. My concern would be, and we did have Adrian do some very basic, research on this. She ended up finding that there was a gentleman named Wadley who had perhaps ownership, and then Wadley's descendants would potentially be.
I'll hand out the very basic
Oh, okay. More information.
property card on it, which doesn't have a whole lot there.
Removing a tree is extremely expensive.
Yeah,
And there's more than one, and
Right.
and Wayne did say
And
they
the
were very
concern, the
large.
concern that I would have is that to the extent that we took any steps at all down that path,
We have liability.
right, it would mean that we are then assuming liability for something that's not ours, and then we would have an obligation to discharge that with care, and those are the kinds of things that could end up as a potential exposure and litigation if something were to go
Not only
awry.
that, but we're setting precedents to then take care of the rest of the property.
Who currently maintains the cemetery?
Nobody, not our,
So apparently it's
I'm asking. So like, it's not mowed or anything. It's just, I'm not familiar with this cemetery.
I'm not either, but it's a private cemetery, apparently, not one that the town has ownership in. The resident asked about it in terms of whether something could be done by the town. My recommendation would be not to do anything because it would potentially open the town up to some potential exposure if we did.
So my question would be that it's the Osgood Dudley Gordon Rock Cemetery, care of the town of Brentwood, and it's listed as exempt municipal land.
I think all cemeteries that are known of in town are listed as care of Town of Brentwood and exempt,
So
even the ones that aren't owned by us, just for record-keeping purposes, but I don't know if that's accurate.
Well, I think that's confusing because the care of and Dalton Road address that was listed was apparently placed there only because they couldn't find who any of the descendants were, but it really has nothing to do with ownership. In fact, I asked Adrian about that, and I said, well, that ought to be removed if we don't have any ownership, which she then
Yeah.
ended up doing. So I think this was printed prior to
it was.
her removing that. Because that's really just a care of, given the
I
the
think-
situation.
I think the intent was that if somebody had a question about that cemetery, they would come here, and then they would get more information.
Right, but
I think the cemetery chair
Right.
wants to say something.
Yep. And I think, that's probably correct, but I think in order to make sure there was no confusion, that's why I had suggested to Adrian that ought to be removed, which he did.
Jim Hazard Chair, Cemetery Trustees. Yeah, this came up at our last meeting. Joyce said she was approached by somebody worried about the trees. It is not one of the public Brentwood cemeteries. We don't have any responsibilities for that cemetery. And what Joyce had told her was, and I think it was good that they came to Joyce, honestly, knows the most about the cemeteries in town anyways. But she told them that we really can't do anything on that property. We have to, they would have to go through who's responsible, the owner of that cemetery, the descendant of that cemetery. And I think Jim, I was trying to raise my hand to say what Jim said, that we were concerned as cemetery trustees where we don't want to take on, there's lots of cemeteries in this town that are not public cemeteries. We're not responsible for them. And that if we go and do something on this one, the next guy is going to say the same thing about that cemetery. I believe there's only 3 that are ours now. There's VZ Tonry, and then the recent, the Poor Farm Cemetery that we declared abandoned. Those are the only 3 cemeteries that we actually are responsible for. But like I said, I thought Joyce was going to get the message back to that homeowner who had the inquiry, so that we could not do anything to the trees.
So again, I don't think there's any action item here, but I did want to make, the board aware of that.
Well, I'm dying to find out who the owner is.
I'm not gonna do that research, are you?
Just had to say.
Yeah, I know.
Might have been Diane too.
According to the tax card, it's Doug, so.
Oh.
Doesn't say which Doug.
Just Doug, pick your Doug.
How you,
Congratulations, Doug.
you just acquired?
Well, we did go a little bit further and found on an old plan from 1965 that it was a gentleman named Wadley. So I don't know, maybe Doug is one of Wadley's descendants. But we didn't quite get that far, so.
It's called a victim of circumstance. Just so you know, I did get the pop-up on the reeval. It says if it drops below 75%, they recommend that you consider having a reeval. So if it's below 75 is what they're
Yeah, I was just asking if we should have a policy.
25% difference.
Yeah, I think we got down to 70.
Yeah, and they said it has to be done every 5 years, but if it's under 75, if it's increased more than 25%, they recommend you redo it, so.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Internet search, love it, when it works.
All right, moving right along. So we need to go through some warrants that we didn't vote on for purposes of presentation, but then we also need to go through recommending or not recommending various warrants as well. We did look into whether or not the select board could take a neutral position on a particular warrant, and the feedback from NHMA was that we have to either recommend or not recommend. So hats off to Andy Artimovich, who was absolutely correct on that. So where should we start?
Can I just add to that, the budget committee voted on the ones last night that you all had voted on last week, and they voted for their recommends or not recommends, and requested that there be an identifier on there as to what the vote count was. And I did find that that has been the case, at least in 2010, where it would say recommended by the budget committee by a vote of whatever to whatever, or by the selectmen by either a unanimous vote or a vote of 4-1, or whatever the case may be.
So if you had an abstention, it would be like 4-1.
Correct.
Okay.
There were a lot of abstentions last night because this board had not voted whether or not to recommend, so I abstained on all of them.
Thank you. So as a procedural matter, is everyone in agreement that we would also include that notation as well? So whatever our vote is?
For consistency, I'd be fine with that.
Okay. I think we have a consensus there. We do have, before we get to the recommendations, we do have some additional warrants, and those pertain to adding to the various capital reserve funds. We wanted to get an update from the trustees of the trust fund after the last meeting. Julie did get an update from the trustees of the trust fund, and it looks that's been circulated. So we can, you know, go through each one of these, and I can read off, or Julie can read off, you know, where we are in terms of total from the trustees. But the warrant that we were looking at that we had deferred from last time is to see if the town would raise and appropriate the sum of $160,000 to be added to the following capital reserve funds: $30,000 to information systems hardware, $25,000 to reevaluation, $25,000 to maintenance of town buildings, $50,000 to fire vehicles, $30,000 to public safety radios. So when I look at the numbers on so fire rescue vehicles, sorry, that was the fourth one, but that lists a zero balance at this point in time. Maintenance of
Can we just do one at a time to make it easier?
Okay, sure.
I'll move the 50,000 for fire vehicles.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And while we're talking about recommendations, I guess, do we want to get,
We can do, that one would have to be the whole warrant article. So,
okay, all right, that's fine. So next is information systems hardware at 30,000. Okay. Highlighted that one.
You need to deduct from that $41,175 that has not been reimbursed from the trustees.
So there was $52,189, but there has been a charge to the trustees that has not been reimbursed yet for how much?
$41,175.
So a very rough estimate of about 11, yeah,
Yeah,
$1,000.
I'll move
Uh,
the 30.
For a second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Okay. So next would be the reevaluation, and it looks like there's $105,604.
Again, there's an invoice to be reimbursed in the amount of $44,250.
And how about the $30,000 one that we?
That includes that.
That includes.
And then there would be still another 30 that would have to come out of there. So
Correct.
I just think it's prudent to put the money in there. So I'll make a motion for the 25.
Is
Second.
25 enough? If we save up 25 for 5 years, will that cover?
125.
125.
And then you already have whatever money's in there, so.
but we still have a lot in there, like almost enough that we might not need to put it in, but
What, no, because didn't you just say there's another 60 some odd coming out?
Well, there's the 41 and plus another 30.
30,
So 71
So
coming
there's another
out.
71 coming out of the number that's,
right, so that'll be
Currently, yeah.
34,000 remaining.
okay, so we'll have a little bit.
Yeah, we have a little buffer.
Okay. Second, or if no one did a summary, your second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next is maintenance of town buildings.
And I
We
think
have-
we talked about this last week about adding money. So
there's $72,589 in that account. I know Dexter had spoke to us about the Grange, but it sounded like that was going to be a little bit less than anticipated because he was going to get a grant and.
You'd need at least 10.
Right. But again, there's 72,000 in there, and the proposal is to put another 25,000 in there.
Is there a target amount that we have for that, for like if a furnace goes or we,
I think it was 100,000 we were looking at to keep it around, if I remember.
so adding 25 would pretty much get us there?
Well, we were talking about adding some for like, I thought we were talking about that for the,
Range.
I thought there was another one that we were looking at. I thought we were gonna bring it up to 100.
I was
mean-
gonna make a motion for the 25, if you can think.
It
if
would
there was
make it
another
at
thing.
100.
Yeah, 72 would bring us pretty darn close to 100, so,
I'll second that.
Okay.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then we did fire vehicle, and there is radios. And looks like radios are at $33,437. It's a good question in terms of, target, but I know we were speaking last time about how, the idea was to put money in on a yearly basis, given, the technology over.
Plus, I believe
Several years.
the PD needs new portables, and that'll expend what's in
Is-
the fund.
Is this enough to cover between what we have now and what we're putting in?
Yes,
Make a motion for the 30?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so I think we have that all presented. Do we want to go ahead and, might as well, while we're at it, make a recommendation?
Really quickly, we're not adding to a software capital reserve. Is that intentional? So last time we had saved up to replace the software that we have now. I don't know if we should be
Well,
planning
it
on
looks-
replacing it again next time, or?
Like in the municipal operations software, there's $119,125.
Okay,
I move we add this warrant article for $160,000 to the warrant, and then we can do recommendations afterwards.
Second?
Oh, okay, you're doing it as a whole. I get it. Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Recommend it now, or?
I think it would be, you just take a vote of who recommends, who doesn't recommend, and who wants to abstain.
We'll move forward with recommendations.
Aye.
Recommend?
Aye.
aye.
Aye, so we have a 5-0
Unanimous.
recommending on that warrant.
Can you come
Yes,
to the
come on
microphone?
up.
Liz Faria, South Road. My question is, are this going to be presented all together as one or warrant article? This particular warrant
It'll be
article with all these
presented,
five or
yeah, it
six
will be
things?
presented as one, but it will also list the various sub-amounts, so I suppose, whatever people want to do at town meeting, with it.
Okay, so if somebody wanted, all but one of them, that would be tough luck, kind of.
Yeah, I think
No,
that's.
no.
No,
you
they
can
could,
make a
you
motion.
they could
You
amend it.
make a motion
would
to
be
take
an
it out.
amendment,
You
right?
can amend the number, but you cannot decide for the select board where the amounts go.
No, I know that.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
But an amendment can be made that would be reflective of what it is that you're thinking should be, something different. And then it would be the, political will of the select board, whether or not. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay, great. All right. The next issue that we have before we actually get on to the recommendations of the other ones that we dealt with last week is an amendment that has been drafted with regard to the police detail fund. Julie did some research on the fund, and do you want to explain what you found in terms of your research?
Yes, it was established back in 2009 with a cap of $40,000.
And, you know, at least as I saw that, the language
Yeah, I'm
that
trying
you-
to find
that you
it.
had, or that we were looking at earlier, it indicates that the police revolving fund shall not end up being as part of the unreserved fund balance or the general fund. So then the question becomes, what happens, you know, when you actually exceed the $40,000, which is where we're at present, because there's how much in that fund presently?
117, give it, plus a little bit.
So hence the amendment that we would need to put to warrant pending this board's approval of eliminating the cap of $40,000 and then also permitting any currently accumulated fund balance exceeding the prior cap to remain in the fund, because, you know, in my mind, reading the language from the 2009 warrant, there really was a conflict in the sense that you had this cap, but then what happens when you exceed the cap? Because the language also says it would not be part of the general fund. So this amendment would seek to permit the currently accumulated amount to remain in the detail fund, which I think makes sense also for purposes of, you know, what Chief Murch was wanting in terms of a cruiser down the road.
So this amendment just makes sense. I mean, the price of a police vehicle from 17 years ago is not even close, so the cap put on 17 years ago is unrealistic in today's climate.
Yeah.
I move to accept as written.
Second.
Any further discussion?
As far as leaving all of the money that is currently in there, I would want to make sure that the taxpayers did not foot the bill for details. So part of the money that comes into this account is supposed to just cycle back out to pay the officers for the details. If that didn't happen, then the town of Brentwood and the taxpayers pay
So,
for that.
Julie, do you want to address that? Because I understand that you did a transfer and a reconcile of that.
Yes, for
past
2025, yes.
Can you make sure it happened for 2024 too?
No,
I think, personally, I think we should probably, we know that we had an audit on 24. The audit's supposed to be finished, my understanding is for April, May. I think those books should have been closed. They're not, they're still open. I would even make a motion that we have an audit report that's coming in April, May. I wouldn't even entertain reopening those and revisiting and rehashing and trying to sort through the math from 2 years ago. To me, it's just counterproductive, so.
and I think the other problem is I don't want to make any adjustments that the auditors are already planning to
No,
make year-end adjustments for.
Absolutely. I would hope in an audit it would show up that the general fund was not properly reimbursed.
We'll
Because
find out.
again,
You can hope, but whatever the audit finds, you know, it will find. But, you know, at this point, 24 is done. You know, it's a closed book. The auditors are looking at it. There's money in this fund. I mean, this goes back, you know, to the conversation from last week, which is, look, this is all town money.
so no. And I think this is why for me, capital reserves, I understand. Revolving funds are not taxpayer money. This is revenue from other sources that are not taxpayer sources. So if we are not reimbursing the town, then the taxpayers are paying for something that they shouldn't have to pay.
Right. Well, similarly, you know, if there's going to be, you know, again, it's an allocation issue. So if there's less money in this fund because, you know, that may have happened 2 years ago in 2024, then it would have required appropriating, you know, more money to get this police cruiser. So, you know, to me, you know, we're talking about allocations. And you know, and I think it's important to say too, that's all we're talking about. We're not talking about any kind of,
Malfeasance or anything like that.
thank you, or anything that would, you know, suggest that there were any issues in terms of, you know, town finances, because we had an audit of a reconciliation of the general fund, you know, right up through the end of last year, or the end of 2024 into the beginning of 25. So, you know, there's no evidence of that.
I personally have heard very loudly from the taxpayers that they want us to be really careful with how we spend their money. And this board has made a huge effort this year to make sure we are being really careful about how we allocate their money.
And we've done a great job doing so.
So to hear that you don't feel like it's worth making sure that the taxpayers only have to pay bills that they are responsible for is confusing to me.
It's not confusing. You're trying to go back to 2024. That would have no impact or effect. So, you know, there's now more money in
We've been
this-
through an audit.
Yeah.
We
So-
have not completed our audit.
Right, but there's now more money potentially in this fund, and, you know, to buy a police cruiser that we would otherwise would have, Chief Murch would have been coming to us to appropriate. So, you know, you're talking about moving, you know, monies around. This has nothing to do with anything else, and you're talking about something from 2024. So I think it's a closed
Can we
book.
move on, please?
We can.
Yeah.
We had a motion and a second on the,
Oh, yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Any further discussion on the amendment? All in favor?
aye?
Aye.
Do you need a roll call for supporting it or not? If so, aye.
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 Do we need a roll call or only if it's not?
Doesn't matter. That's 5-0.
Just gives the accurate numbers for.
All right, so then we have the warrants from last time. Okay. So the first one that's being presented to the town is the warrant with regard to the waste and recycling contract, and whether or not to appropriate $24,950, which would be for the second half of 2026, and doing manual waste collection for the second half of 2026. So a vote to recommend, because this gets a little confusing, a vote to recommend favor of that would mean that you are voting to appropriate that money to have manual throughout the year. A vote against recommending would mean that you would be going to, or would be recommending going to automated. So I thought that, hopefully that explanation is helpful.
And before we vote, I think you just should read the article as written.
To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $24,950 for the continuation of manual collection of waste and recyclable materials per the contract with Casella Waste Systems. The town may continue with manual waste collection or convert to automated waste collection. The proposed 2026 town budget allocates the cost of manual waste and recyclable collection for the first 6 months and automated waste and recyclable collection for the remaining 6 months. The purpose of this warrant article would be to continue with manual collection for the entire year, hence the additional appropriation. So I'll take some discussion, and then also, I'll take some discussion from the public on that as well.
I'll just mention that I did speak with the gentleman from Casella because there was some question about the size of the containers. and this also, I think you all got the flyer. He explained that everyone would get a 65-gallon container, and if they want a 95-gallon, they would bring it here to exchange it for a 95. If they then decide, gee, that's too big, I'd rather have the 65, then there's going to be a cost to changing that out.
And this is for waste as opposed to recycle, because my understanding is you would get a 95
Correct.
for recycle in the first instance.
Would you be able to switch to the smaller one for a cycle if you wanted to in that beginning phase?
I think so, yeah. And he also said that if people want more than one container, there would be a $200 annual rental fee for that. And the town can add, he recommended $100 to that towards,
$200 rental fee?
So they want $300 is what they're recommending.
No.
No,
Two.
they would
Two.
charge 200, but they're recommending that we charge 100
right,
because of the upsize and the extra.
correct,
No,
No,
to
for the
recuperate
tipping fee.
the
For-
tipping fees.
right.
Okay,
Or whatever amount we,
which would be $300.
correct, for the year.
If you need an extra bin, or if you want an extra bin.
Right. I thought it was, last time you were saying a lesser number though, Julie. I thought it was like 130? Did I miss that? But he said 200.
I thought there was a 250 overall, but so this is now 300. So
Yeah.
it's getting more expensive as we go.
Okay. I'll take discussion on this amongst the board, and then I'll, as I said, I'll open it up.
I'm all for saving money. The calculation is going to come out to what, $25 a household for trash if we keep it manual versus going to the automated. I think that eventually it's all going to go to automated anyway because it's a win for Casella if they get it because they save on staffing and benefits and all the other stuff, liability, risks, and everything else. So insurance-wise and everything else, I think they're saving more by us going to automated than staying with manual. But it'd be interesting to see what the rest of the board wants to do.
I know recently at my house, they, looks like they were doing it via automated. They had a guy in a truck and the arms came and I don't know, maybe I have a compliant
Trash can?
bucket. Yeah, so. But anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry, Andy.
I would not recommend this article. I just think we should save the town some money. And it's also safe for the Casella employees, I guess. Being the rear guy on a trash truck is right up there with some of the most hazard jobs in the country.
You have anything, Jim? I know you don't have to, but I'm just going around.
Well, I'm really torn on this because I've heard from several residents that don't want to go to automated. I think that eventually, I've reached out to several trash companies, and they're all saying the same thing, that eventually you won't have a choice. It will be automated. Insurance and lawyers, sorry, Paul, are forcing this, on them, and it's very hard to get employees as well. So automation is coming down the pike, whether we like it or not, whether we choose to do it now or later. So I don't know.
I mean, ultimately, the townspeople are going to decide. This is just a
That's right.
recommendation.
Yep. I would, I guess, pull the Band-Aid off and just get it done now.
Do you want to say anything, Letty?
Are we voting or we're just talking?
Just talking.
We're talking.
So I looked at how much we spent on trash last year. And it was $120,000 over budget. So I think if we, knowing that this is coming, whether we like it or not, eventually, doing it sooner rather than later might also help curb some of those costs, because trash is our number 4 budget. It's police, fire, highway, and trash. It's a huge budget for us. So yeah, I would not recommend, or I would not, whatever, I would be a no.
Either recommend or you don't.
I would, yeah, I didn't know I thought we were just talking.
We are talking.
Yeah, I would not recommend.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's a tough one. And ultimately, I wouldn't recommend it either. I think that, you know, it's you know, ultimately a savings and ultimately something that we're going to have to, you know, adjust to for purposes of, you know, dealing with our trash and dealing with, you know, safety for employees of the trash company. I am concerned about the costs, though, still, because I understand that, you know, there's a number of ways that residents will get potentially dinged, you know, here, particularly as it pertains to these carts. So that's how I'm leaning at the moment, but I do want to hear from, you know, anyone in the public that has an opinion on this. I know that the budget committee at least has a different recommendation than what I'm at least hearing initially from this board. So I'd invite the budget committee chair to explain why you may have gone in that direction, and then whoever else wants to discuss. So.
Jim Hazard, Chair of the Budget Committee, but I'm speaking tonight on behalf of Gabby Kelly, who's a Budget Committee member, and Gabby is the head of the sub-team that is looking at trash recycling improvements. And last night, I would say that we were in a similar situation of you. We definitely had members speaking, first of all, the kind of the weird vote, because your vote, because maybe from a budget standpoint it makes sense, but then does it really make sense for our residents to put them through this, right? So we can discuss that. But then Gabby kind of talked to the budget committee and shared, and she emailed a statement, a comment that she wanted me to read, and she sent it to the chair as well, so you can give that to the town administrator for the minutes. But after Gabby spoke, I believe it was unanimous. Well, Letty abstained, but we definitely voted to recommend doing this warrant. So I'm just going to read again. I'm reading this. Gabby would be here tonight, but she has kids' duty and she had other people's kids. So this is public comments regarding the warrant article on manual versus automated waste and recycling collection. This statement is shared in support of continuing manual collection for the full year as outlined in the warrant article, requesting funding to maintain the current system rather than converting mid-year to automated pickup. The Trash Subcommittee has been working to evaluate the long-term future of waste and recycling services for the town. Our work is not finished. A transition to automated collection is a major operational shift that affects safety, cost, structure, environmental impact, and day-to-day logistics for residents and haulers alike. Making a permanent change now, before the analysis is complete, risks locking the town into a system that may not prove to be the best overall fit for Brentwood. There are real trade-offs that deserve fuller review. Automated collection can introduce safety concerns related to large equipment operating on narrow roads and in winter conditions. It can also create challenges for residents who may struggle with moving and storing large carts, particularly seniors and those with physical limitations. Other concerns include educating our townspeople on the new limitations, aka the one barrel, and paying a rental fee for additional barrels, and everything like recycling having to fit inside the barrels. In addition, questions remain around long-term maintenance costs, cart replacement, contamination rates in recycling, and the environmental impact of heavier trucks and different routing requirements. The subcommittee is actively working on scenario analysis that looks at multiple paths forward, including cost-effectiveness, environmental considerations, service levels, and community impact. That work will allow the town to compare options side by side and make a well-informed decision rather than a rushed one. Supporting this warrant article does not mean rejecting change forever. It simply allows the town the time needed to do this right, with data, public input, and a full understanding of the consequences. It prevents a situation where the town converts systems now only to reconsider and potentially change again later at additional expense and disruption. Respectfully submitted, Gabby Kelly. So, like I said.
Very articulate.
Yeah, and I did attend just one of their meetings that they had last week, and again, they spoke to another person who does trash and recycle for, I believe it's New Kensington and Southampton. So he had some ideas, and he just warned me, and I shared this, I think, with a couple of you, that don't be deceived by this savings that they're giving you on the pickup rates. Casella will make more money. This is what he claimed. They will make more money from us on doing automation because of, well, the charges you're hearing about now, plus there'll be other issues that will come up with, like I said, he goes, your people are going to be really upset about having to deal with trying to fit their trash into these 1 barrels. And he specifically brought up cardboard, that people are really finding out. People have, in other towns where they've swished, they got really upset because they're finding they're spending all this time cutting cardboard that today, a large box, they can just set it aside their barrel and the guys take it. So anyways, I just wanted to share that from Gabby. It definitely changed the way many of us looked at this when we voted last night.
Okay, thank you. Did you have something, Jim, that you wanted to respond?
I did. So I've done quite a bit of research on this because this was originally my idea to stay with manual versus automation. So there are a couple things in that letter that I do want to address. First of all, the large vehicles navigating small roads, that happens everywhere in New Hampshire right now. So we're no different than anyone else with automated pickup. The trucks are designed specifically to navigate these roads. They're not, if they're heavier, they're not much heavier than the trucks that they use right now. That's not an issue either. The trucks have to have, they can't be too heavy, right? Or else they won't be able to run on the road without having, special licenses and whatnot. So that's not an issue either. The unfortunate thing is, this is something that eventually we're not going to have a choice on. Automation is coming to trash pickup no matter what. If we postpone it, we're postponing it for a year or so, and yeah, I mean, I think that people don't like change. I get that, and having to put their trash, fit it all into certain barrels. I get that all, but eventually we're not going to have a choice. Automation will not be a choice in the future. I don't know when, but so whether we do it now or later, people are going to be forced to do it eventually. So it's just something that it's unfortunate, but it's what I found out in doing my research, that if we went to a different trash company for a different contract, we would have no choice but to go automation. We wouldn't even have a choice of manual. So that's where we stand.
And that may depend, I guess, on the company. I mean, there are some,
There are only 3 major companies that could come and do this town, and one of them is Casella, giving us the choice of manual versus automation, and the other 2 are automation only.
yeah, but I think there are other smaller services and companies, Jim, that would provide proceeding with manual.
But I think what you're saying is those smaller companies couldn't handle the size of Brentwood.
We had a smaller company years ago. Was it Northside Carding or something like that?
Even before that, we had a small company based out of Brentwood
Yeah,
on 27.
and they got gobbled up.
Yeah.
And
But
they-
I hear what you're saying.
And they were
I
leaking,
get it.
and they had issues with their trucks because they just couldn't afford the maintenance and stuff like that, so.
I'd
You
invite-
could get smaller companies to bid on it, but they'd have to then, and they'd have to fight with their insurance company and everything too, so.
Yeah, I mean, when we were discussing this back in April as well, I think there were some people, who were pretty articulate as well in terms of, why, you should stay with manual. It was gonna cost a lot more than the extra, I think it's like $25 or $30, a year that we would be expending per household. So but anyways, it's, I'm sure we'll hear a lot of that at town meetings, be one of the issues for town meeting. But again, do you have something, Liz? Yep, come on up.
Liz Faria, South Road. I know some of us, including the select board, have spent a really long time on the trash question. Some people spend more time than others. And I agree with Jimmy Show that I think that it's going to be inevitable. And I don't care one way or another which way we go, but if we have to go and we can save money, to me, this is a no-brainer, and I really wish that this wasn't coming to the voters, because I think most people have not spent the amount of time that I have or you have on this issue. So I think there's going to be a lot of rehashing the size of the barrels. So I really, really, really wish the select board had taken a position on this, because this was the time that you should have taken a position, and it shouldn't go before town meeting. But we're saving over $4,000 a month for every month we stay manual. That to me makes no sense. Like I said, the barrels are big, but you get 165, 195, and maybe we have a different thing for, at the town shed for big boxes or
Yeah,
something.
for cardboard. Yeah,
Cardboard.
could be
There's a
couple
lot of cardboard
couple
recycling.
locations for
Yeah, an
cardboard.
alternate
Get the-
location. We can
yeah.
do that down the line.
And I remember Mr. Belanger had at least promised one bin. Maybe we can get him to do it.
But I think this is delaying the inevitable, and I think that this should be rejected
Could we
because
do
of the
that now?
money, straight
Could we do
because of the money.
Could we do that now?
Do what?
Ask for because I know that cardboard is pretty much the only thing that's really worth money. Could we talk to them about getting a
Yeah, we can ask.
cardboard dumpster now?
We can ask. He had mentioned it before, so we can.
So the only thing about that is it has to be clean cardboard, so we would have to build a pavilion to keep it out of the weather.
Hmm.
Because once it gets wet, it's useless.
It's junk.
Okay, so more conversation about that would be useful. Maybe if you could just ask him what is needed.
One thing I would like to know is if you have something like cardboard and the top doesn't close, do they leave it? The top of the barrel does not close because you have
I think it
something sticking
depends
out.
how
Do they not pick it up?
keeping it is.
It's
Okay.
supposed to be closed, I believe.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I was just,
But I know that I've
Yep.
driven around in other towns that have Casella, especially around like Christmas, and as long as it's not like
yeah,
Piled
no, I don't mean
overflowing.
piled, but
they-
I just think just on the straight money, I do think that there's reason that we elect you to make decisions. So I'm against this warrant article.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to speak to it?
Doug Finnan, Gove Road. Just out of curiosity, if we make this transition to go automated, are we bound by the 5-year contract still? So we don't have an opportunity to look at other vendors to see if they're less expensive?
No, Doug, the way the contract worked is that we have the option to either remain with manual or to go with automated. So both were built into the term of the contract.
And I believe there's a termination clause in the contract.
There is, but the termination clause, as I read it, would be only if the town didn't fund, garbage, and therefore that would give us an out for termination. Or the town wasn't willing to pay for the contract price, if you will. So.
Yeah, so in my research, there was one company that just wouldn't even look at it because we're under contract and they wouldn't even look at it. So, Liz, to your point, I don't regret bringing it to the public because it's ultimately up to them to decide. It's not up to us to decide. And that's why I went ahead and pushed so hard for this, because it is a big issue and it's a personal issue. So I don't regret bringing it to the townspeople to vote.
And I
But-
trust that people, it'll be a healthy discussion,
Yeah.
and I trust that people will be able to address it.
The only thing about that, but you've changed since you've done your research, right? Now you're for going automated, right? I'm just saying that the amount of research people have done has
I
sometimes
don't know,
changed their
did
opinion.
you ever take a position per se? I don't know.
I haven't taken a position yet,
Okay.
but, you know,
It's okay, it doesn't matter, it doesn't.
Okay.
But.
Well,
it's
we'll
good
be
to
taking a
talk to-
position shortly, so you could record it, Liz.
Well, in order to not keep kicking the can, no
Yeah.
no
All right,
dad joke.
anything else?
intended.
Yeah, Jim Hash, I'm speaking for myself, 33 Mohawk Lane. I don't have a dumpster, right? And there's only two of us. But I just urge you, this warrant only extends this for 6 months so that maybe we can make an educated decision on what we want to do with trash in this town. I don't think that's asking for a lot. I don't think $24,000 in a $7 million budget is a lot of money to spend time to make an educated decision. I think what got us here was not planning, not thinking, not looking at all the options and signing something, and we can't go back now. But I will say that some of you have an email from, and I'm not going to say his name or company, but he does trash pickup and recycle pickup in other small towns not too far from here. And I think maybe there are options that we can look at where we can lower costs, but still not put again, I think we need to really look at and maybe talk to this guy, because I did, and he said there's a lot more. You're going to be sorry when you go to automated, is what he told me. And my mom went through it in Methuen, and it was a pain in the butt, and she's by herself, and a lot of people weren't happy. So I just urge you to think about, this is a 6-month thing. You're not making a decision on whether we do this long term. I think you're just giving us time. Don't pull a switch where we do something without all the facts, and then we're never going to be able to go back if we say it's a mistake. If you vote this and we keep it the way it is for the remainder of all next year, we have the whole, basically you have at least 6 months, maybe 9 months to really figure this out, because I think he told us it only takes a few months to transfer over from manual to automated. And I think we have this is our second year of a 5-year contract, so they have to do manual for that whole 5 years anyway. So we have plenty of time to make this decision. But I just urge you, again, I think it's more about just let's take some time and let's think about what we're going to do before we make a change. Thank you.
I think my thought is eventually we're going to have to go there. We originally weren't going to make a recommendation. We were just going to send it to the floor, but we have to take a position. I don't think it hurts to take a position and still let it be going to the floor. The taxpayers ultimately are going to be the ones making the decision. Me, personally, one of my key objectives coming back on the board was I wanted to see some fiscal responsibility. And I wanted to see that we were being prudent with the taxpayers' dollars. I know that we're going to end up having to go to automated eventually.
And I know we shouldn't have dialogue here, but I'll be honest, maybe I haven't done as much analysis as you have, but the contract definitely is 5 years that we can do manual with them, and we have 4 years left. And this company that I talked to, I believe he does manual, and I think there's companies that do manual. So I don't know, maybe you guys are right. I don't know where, maybe Casella is just saying this,
So I
but
don't know
I don't know.
who you're talking
Hold on,
about,
hold on.
so.
Let him finish, and then you can.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, like, I'll be honest, that's the one area that maybe I'm not on the same page with you, is I'm not convinced that we are inevitable that everybody has to go to automated. So maybe, like I said, maybe I'm wrong, but maybe you're wrong. I don't know.
I mean, Jim's done the research. Do you not believe that you looked, there are 3 companies that can handle a town our size. I guess, not knowing this company that you're talking about, I haven't seen the email, I don't know what you're talking about. If there's another company that we don't know about, share it with us so that we can do the research. We only know what we know.
All right, unless there's any other public comment, why don't we proceed to vote? Is public all set?
I
Excellent.
would do a roll call vote.
All right, you want to start, Letty? So remember, if you vote against,
I know,
Oh.
I'm voting no.
okay. Jim?
Aye.
So you're for, Emmanuel?
For the 6 months.
Oh, more like a year, but. Nay.
Nay.
And I'll vote nay as well, so that would be a 4-1.
1-4.
1-4.
1-4.
1-4.
1 for, 4 against.
Yeah, 1-4, 4 against.
And ultimately, I think it's still going to be a discussion at the floor. It's going to be a pretty
Yep. Okay.
fruitful
I-
discussion.
I would recommend that Casella has barrels and displays and things that people.
So we-
Or a representative.
We had talked. I don't-
Offered to be there at town meeting.
Yeah,
as
that
well.
was my next question, is if we want to take him up on his offer
I
to
think we should.
discuss it.
I think he had talked about having like public, this might have been before you, sorry, like public info or like
Yeah.
dropping barrels off in a couple different places so people could look at them.
Yeah, and those flyers would be fine-tuned to Brentwood, and they could be posted on the website as well as be available in certain
They
locations.
said they would mail them to.
Yeah, he said he'd mail it to every household too, or at least last year he did. I'm assuming he'd be okay.
I mean, they can put some of the different size barrels. I know we have them here. I think the 95 gallons here.
Yeah, that
They
the
can do a
recycle ones at
65,
the end of
yeah.
at the end of the hall are the giant ones, but like maybe at the rec and the library, someplace where people
Yeah.
can go and see.
Rec library would make total sense.
All right, moving along, the next, number 3, where we had voted to add $125,000 to the capital reserve fund for the municipal building project. So again, you're either going to recommend for or recommend against. So let's, not to confuse it with ayes and nays. So you're either recommending for or recommending against.
Recommending 4.
4.
Against?
And I'll recommend 4, so that is 4-1. There was a motion to approve the appropriation for $150,000 to the existing highway vehicles capital reserve fund. You need to indicate what was in there.
10, 12, like 16,000, like not very many dollars.
Because didn't you guys just get a truck?
$16,051. So
4.
recommending 4.
4.
4.
Or
Recommending 4, so that's 5-0. All right, and then finally, there was the motion to approve the paving for town roads at $350,000. I'll go the other way just to make it interesting.
4.
4.
4.
4.
And 4, so that's 5-0 on that one.
That's 25.
There is? So we had also voted to present the master plan warrant, which was $8,500. So go ahead.
4.
4.
4.
4.
And 4, so 5-0 on that.
Do we need to do the same thing for the non-financial ones?
Yeah, there was the exemptions that we can vote on as well. I mean, we have the option to vote on those. We don't have to, but I think it would certainly make sense to do so. We had presented exemptions. It's a tax credit for service-connected permanent and total disability from $2,000 to $2,750 to make that combined amount previous so that they would get the full credit. So
4.
4.
4.
I'm 4. It was also, so that's 5-0 on that, yep. There was a motion to include the elderly exemption, which would increase to 200,000 for a person 65 years to 75 years, 250,000 for 75 to 80, and 300,000 for a person 80 years or older. So,
4?
Four.
four.
4.
And 4, so 5-0 on that. There was also a disabled exemption, which would increase to $155,000.
4?
4.
4.
4.
And 4. That's 5-0 on that. I think that covers it. Okay. And I don't know if there's any old business.
We still need to talk about the salt encumbrance.
Yes.
I know it had been discussed about $35,000, and I got the contract, the Morton contract from Wayne, along with a spreadsheet of what they've got for loads, and I honestly can't figure out anything from what he gave me.
Does the winter maintenance budget have $35,000 in it from last year?
No. Had about 1,000, I think.
Does the highway budget have 35,000 in it?
How many is the total number of tons that he,
Total number times what?
sorry, what is the total number of tons that he
Contracted?
contracted for?
It's right there on, I told it up on one of the pages, but there's,
Sorry, I don't know what you're, oh, okay.
2,000, how many tons?
Yeah, isn't that how this, sorry, I'm gonna look to y'all. Isn't that how this works?
I think there was a mathematical error before where he was counting it by loads. He was making a mistake between loads and tons. So
And
I
that
don't know if
may
that's
be
been
what the
corrected.
issue is with the spreadsheet that they gave me.
I know
Well, the
Jim
other
from the
issue,
budget
too,
committee
is
was able to help sort
what-
that
what's
out.
it- What's remaining in the highway budget?
Oh.
Put
It doesn't matter how much is in the highway budget, though. We can just encumber any amount.
Well, I
True.
suppose, that's true, but it would still be nice to know that it's coming from the highway budget.
But I think in order not to overexpend the budget, we need the 35,000.
I would do more than that. If I would,
Well,
I
that's
would
what, that's
do
what we need to
whatever.
figure out what,
No. So we can, my understanding is we can only encumber what is left in this. So if we don't know how much that is, this is also
From,
from the wrong year.
well, it goes half, looked like it went middle of 24 to 25.
all right, so I'm feeling as though there's not enough information, and I'm wondering if.
There
we
should be
can-
one that goes from 25 to 26. It
But
might have
that
been
would be
right
f-
before you.
But that would be for current year.
Right, isn't that how, if we're encumbering out of the year 2025?
Right,
Well, has he gotten any loads? I would assume with all the storm, has he gotten?
But it
Mhm.
doesn't matter because that would have been spent in 26 budget, so.
right, but we're encumbering from 25 based on the contract.
To
so
offset
I-
it, right?
Right, by what he presented from the budget, if we don't encumber 35,000, he's gonna overspend his
No.
winter maintenance budget.
I would suggest like 50 if I knew that there was enough left in his contract, his current contract for
I
that.
don't think he needs that, he needs 35,000.
We don't need to spend more than we need.
If
So
he needs,
Are you
if he-
comfortable with 35,000?
Sure.
I make a motion for 35,000.
There-
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
No
Aye.
discussion?
Well, you can.
Someone, you can discuss, or unless someone moves the
Somebody had
question.
asked how much money is left in the salt budget for last year, and there's 65,000.
Okay.
Or the,
And so we're gonna encumber 35.
I'm just saying, especially since we just had a couple big storms back to back. Maybe, because that 35, I think, was based on averages, right? If this winter season is worse than average,
We still have a revolving fund for winter maintenance, I believe, that has 10,000 in it.
can you see on that document? Is that on the document?
It should be.
Okay, so we do have flexibility somewhere else then. Maybe.
Right here. $11,500.
So it gives them 46,000 all
Okay,
in.
we
Yep.
just had a couple of big storms back to back. If
I mean,
that
I
other number
helped him
was-
do his
Mr.
budget.
Chair, the budget, go ahead.
I helped him do his budget, and for the year, like, and I think somewhere you have it, but I don't, and I'm just gonna by my memory here, because I don't have it with me, but his average for 5 years was 27 tons, and we put in his budget this year for 30 tons, so he put more in for this year already, so he had, like, it was like 3 tons more than the average. But it is true, we need the 35,000 to have the right amount to purchase that 30 tons. But the money wasn't going to be, this wasn't like a typical encumbrance that I had ever experienced. Like, there wasn't extra money left in the budget, but it was, as Letty's saying, it was because you had a signed contract that we could purchase up to a lot
I know.
because of the
It was
mistake.
like an open
An
contract.
open contract,
Yeah,
right? So it's
yeah.
not like there's money left in the budget somewhere. It's, we're allowed to, I guess, encumber.
That makes sense.
Right,
yeah.
but it
Yeah.
sounds like there is money left anyways.
But there might be money, I'm not saying there's not money left,
Right.
but I'm just saying the math didn't work out because you actually cut the salt last year because they used historical, right? You know what I mean? Somebody kind of knew that something was not right, so they historically lowered it. But it is true, he needs that 35,000 or we're gonna have to reopen the budget because he'll be short. But he already did have some extra put in there, like I said, I believe it was 3 additional.
If I remember correctly, part of that was because we were getting the last of the Three Ponds roads as town roads. Like, didn't he say that there was more road, yes, maybe some of that was buffer, but I think also there was an anticipation of more roads.
Okay, I just wanted
There's
to
a-
make sure you
thank
knew
you.
that there wasn't
Yeah,
one.
there's a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any other old business?
Well, I was going to talk about encumbering for
Yeah.
Plodzik and Sanderson. We've paid them a progress billing of $13,460 on a contract of $16,825. So I would be looking to encumber the $3,365.
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I also ask a question? Is that gonna be enough, given how long their audit
I don't know.
process is taking? I know that we can only encumber what we have a contract for, but should we be anticipating more bills?
We'll have to find out, but I mean, for encumbrance purposes.
No, yep.
Yep, we just did it. Okay, any other old business? Committee updates.
Why do you
Letty?
look at me every
I'll
single?
go. Rec is tomorrow. One of the things that he discussed with me is because he can get there's more chances for grant money if it's called Park and Rec, not Recreation. So he would like permission to change it to Parks and Recreation versus Recreation.
We have a park?
We can park a bunch of cars. I know I parked one out there.
I know way back when there was a suggestion to turn the Curly Falls Bridge into a park, but
Yeah, that's true.
There was also, at one point, they were talking about turning the baseball field next to the library into a dog park.
So just because there's more opportunities for grant money, I mean, a name is a name, so I figured I'd run it by you guys. We're having our meeting tomorrow, so I figured I told them I'd check with you guys, see what your thoughts are.
I think it sounds reasonable to me.
It made for good TV.
Yeah.
There you go. Parks and Rec. It was a great TV show.
Does it actually matter? Like,
He said it's just some grants are specific to, so it limits us by half,
do we
right?
have to vote for anything, or is it just?
I'm
like
just
a-
looking to see if the board would be okay, because eventually we're gonna have to vote on it. Once they bring it, they're gonna have to change it in their bylaws and everything else.
Oh, okay, so they're gonna do it first and then we.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. But I wanted to make sure, I wanted to get a pulse for what this board thinks. I think it's reasonable,
Sure.
especially when it involves getting more money. I'm all for that. Free money?
agree.
Send it. Well, it's not free.
Agreed.
We're still paying for it, but.
Okay.
You're out of here.
Anyone else want to go? I won't look at you.
I have nothing.
All right, you want me to go? I'll go.
I could do planning board and
Go ahead.
say that there was a public hearing and we, um, I thought it was reasonable. No one had any particular, comment and,
It wasn't during the snowstorm?
yeah.
Perfect.
And there's one more public hearing, right? Thursday, yeah,
And I would also just announce the date and time of the
budget,
budget hearing.
yep, which is next Tuesday, Thursday, the 5th. Thursday, losing my calendar here, the 5th, thank you, yeah.
And the select board update is when's your retirement date? Just checking.
My retirement date?
Yeah.
March 14th.
Okay, just checking.
And that budget hearing is going to be here or rec? Okay. All right.
Meeting.
It's my turn?
Your turn.
Well, we had, Highway had a very busy several days with plowing, and I would imagine that Wayne and his crew are sleeping right now because, and they did a phenomenal job. We had 5 trucks out. Actually, we had 7 trucks out, 5 large trucks and 2 small trucks. Anytime there's a major storm like this, it's very hard. And I want to reiterate this because there are people that, I guess, complained about their roads not being plowed all that well. When you have a storm that's dropping 2 to 3 inches per hour, and you have to understand that it might take an hour or an hour and a half for that truck to get back to your street, that means that you have 3 or 4 inches on the ground. So you need to have patience because there were a lot of roads in Brentwood, and we're all working really hard to make sure that everything gets plowed, and they do a really good job. So I know that police and fire both had extra crew on for this event, and I don't think there were I don't think that there were anything that was major that happened. So, but it's good to know that we were all prepared and ready for the worst, and we didn't get it. So that's awesome. That's all I have.
Can I just add something to that? Not to diss Wayne or his crew, but technically this building shouldn't be open right now because there are 2 fire exits that are blocked by snow.
Well, is that
Like, you could not open that door if you'd wanted to.
Well, we could, it'd just be interesting.
No, I think,
No, you couldn't. There's,
no.
Did you
so
get a shovel?
but does that fall under
Yes.
highway?
we've always struggled with the maintenance of shoveling at this building. So it's something the board still needs to look at, to find somebody to address that. But the fire exits need to be open if this building is open.
I think it's all town-owned buildings. Like, I know that it's been
Well, fire takes care of their own, PD takes care of their own.
maybe rec and libraries.
Library has, they pay somebody to take care of theirs.
Yeah, so why don't we look into someone for
Well,
purposes
we'll
of
get 'em.
shoveling?
We can do it. We'll get them cleaned up.
Yeah, I guarantee you that with the crew, the plowing crew, they just don't have time to come and do that. So
I mean, maybe we should just hire someone then, as a
Well.
building maintenance.
I mean, if
I think,
that's what it takes.
If you got a shovel, I'll get out there and shovel it for you.
yeah,
I did the health officer inspection today and I shoveled somebody's deck and their walkway out, so it's not that hard to shovel.
But we should have something in place.
If there's a shovel here, I'll shovel it out. I do it for free as the health officer. I'll do it for free as select board member. Not that I want to shovel 1,900 homes. I'm just saying that out to the public right now. Do not send me a text asking me to come shovel out your
I
driveway.
think that was a campaign promise.
I have to work, sorry.
I do
And-
have, oh, go ahead.
I don't know if there was anything further from this board in terms of updates.
I'm all updated out.
Okay. All set?
Everyone already did the budget stuff, so nope, I'm good.
Okay. Julie?
I'll just give an update on some new policies that are in place to make sure that these revolving funds are getting transferred weekly. We have started a new policy for that all cash and check receipts now are getting processed through Daphne's office for ambulance, police, recreation, planning board, so on and so forth.
Any
Yeah, cash and checks. And they are, when they process them, they are coded with the correct accounts for our software accounting system. So those monies will go directly into the correct accounts. And that will get relayed to the treasurer and so forth, so he has everything there. And it,
Lisa, who's doing that, or?
yes. Well, yeah, no, she's not doing that part of it, but she's doing the payables, which is another change, as you've seen on the manifest, the consent, on the payroll and accounts payable, that payments are being made directly from the rec revolving and the ambulance revolving, and any payroll-related items are also coming from those revolving accounts directly, so that
So
there's
not
not,
gonna have to be as much.
no more, trying to do away with journal entries and so forth. So it should clean things up significantly.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Yep.
It's
When I first
archaic.
began
It's
to
being done that way.
understand what was going on, I couldn't quite understand why that was going on. Right, so, thank you.
Yeah, so they're transitioning one department at a time at taking those. They're doing code enforcement deposits right now and started with rec. So then we're just trying to bring them up to speed slowly so they don't get bombarded all at once. So far, so good.
That's awesome, thank you.
Any public comment?
Before you do that, can I just add one more thing?
Oh, of course.
Were you able to get an answer from anybody on the emergency management director's position?
I have a couple of candidates to reach out to see if they're interested. I can't remember where we were at the time. It's gotten away with me, but I did reach out to Paul McFarland, and he said he knew nothing about a Seabrook drill coming up at the beginning of February, and has since talked to the state, who said their funding has been cut significantly. So there was supposed to be a round table done in January that didn't take place, and they are doubtful that this February one will take place as well.
Do you have the, I can forward you the email that had, I guess it's not gonna matter if it's not gonna happening.
Right.
He had sent us an email with like these are the
Richard?
dates, yeah.
Yeah. Paul seemed to indicate that those were kind of placeholders, what they were shooting for, and that everything seems to have fallen apart at the state level as far as
Cool.
funding goes.
It's exciting for Seabrook.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the worst that happens?
Okay, and any other
Make that
public
motion, Fran.
comment at this point? Where public commented out.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
7:40.
I'm
Wow. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much, everyone.
Can you look at this, Doug? Could you look at that? If you're interested?
What? You gotta hit stop. Oh.